Some time ago, I lived in a house in Belgrave. We lived near a shallow creek. It would dry up throughout the year, making it a perfect breeding grounds for mosquitoes. At night, I had my mosquito net to protect me, but I was a light sleeper, and the liminal buzz the mosquitoes would make would keep me up. There was one lone mosquito in the room. I turned on the light and began to search. Against the pale roof, they could barely be seen. This was a bunk bed. I could not climb the upper mattress or I would surely disturb the bug and have to start over. I stood on top of the edge of the lower mattress, gripping the upper railing. The mosquito was just out of reach. If I were to hop, I'd have a chance to swipe. I sprung in place and struck the roof. The tiniest crunch secured my kill. I had lost placement of my feet when landing, and instead of the mattress, I thumped onto the floor. While falling, my toe had lightly brushed the steel railing of the bed. There was a dull pain that radiated from my big toe, but that pain wasn't wearing off. When I inspected my toe, there was a little blackish crimson blood oozing from the seams. You see, in my fall against the metal frame, the force of my body weight had ripped off my toenail. The goal here is to turn you into a better survivor against Onryo. Not the best, but definitely better. What I'm going to do is take all of my knowledge of playing Onryo and distill it into a couple of facts and guidelines to help you find your footing. Particularly, you ought not to be suddenly dying with the little notice or counterplay, as some will purport. Let's go over Onryo's stats. Onryo moves at 4.6 meters. She has a smaller terror radius of 24 meters. She has a matching lullaby of 24 meters as well. Her height is marked as short. Her sight line is around the head height of a survivor. Despite being the only short killer, she can be seen around medium height loops quite easily, but she can't see back over them. Here's my first suggestion to you. Her lullaby is actually quite subtle. But keen-eared survivors will notice it. But more importantly, the visual heartbeat completely takes out the guesswork when it comes to where Onryo currently is. So if you don't have it activated already, I highly recommend it to every survivor. It works for all survivors and it doesn't cost you anything, not even a perk slot. So just concluding her stats, she moves like a standard M1 killer, but her terror radius is smaller. So there's a little less notice if she's walking towards you. Her lullaby makes the notice consistent though. But as you'll notice in this guide, she's not always likely to simply walk up to you. Now, moving on to her power. To help us digest her slightly complicated power, we'll divide the explanation into her powers in chase and her powers when condemning. Starting with her chase, she has two modes, which she can switch back and forth between. You can imagine this as a mixture between Wraith's Cloak and Spirit's passive phasing. The modes are called Demanifested and Manifested. These are confusing names, so let's take a moment to understand Onryo in a more literal sense. Japanese Onryos, or Onryo, if I'm pronouncing that right, translate to vengeful spirit or wrathful spirit. But these are types of ghosts that we're talking about. And looking at her demanifesting, this makes a lot more sense now. Firstly, when manifested, as the name suggests, she is more considered physical and present, and functions like a standard killer. Her terror radius is active, so you'll hear the heartbeat. She's allowed to basic attack, which looks like this magical circle, and she can be stunned by pallets. After a transformation period, she becomes demanifested, and as this name suggests, we see her ghost-like aspects come to bear. Firstly, her terror radius is completely suppressed because she's now undetectable, which means no red stain either. But, as we mentioned earlier, her lullaby is the same range, and lullabies are always on, and we now have visual heartbeats activated, so that's no biggie for us listening to this. She periodically blinks in this state, that's the spirity aspect that I mentioned earlier. These blinks are on a set timer, so you can keep an eye on them, but it's not very impactful. With add-ons it can be, I'll touch on this a little later. Let's go over some more points of this form. So she can't basic attack when she's demanifested, she periodically blinks into invisibility, she can walk through survivors, so don't body block her. She can start a chase and gain bloodlust while in this form, and she cannot be stunned by pallets. Whenever she likes, she can transition back into manifested, and in this state, that's how she behaves like a normal killer in basic attacks, and there's nothing else special about her. So she can be jumping between a normal killer straight up and a blinking pallet immune one that can't injure you. But in moments after the transition to manifest is complete, the following occurs. She keeps her red stain suppressed for a few seconds, even though she can attack, and she temporarily blinks but at a faster rate. And that's all. The blinks can be tricky, but she gets no movement speed or lunges or anything, so just stay in the favourable spots of the palette tile. The red stain is suppressed, but it's no different to a good killer hiding their red stain in other ways, so that's not so bad either. Onryo's ideal situation is standing under the palette, immune to it, and you standing there waiting to be attacked as she manifests. I wouldn't recommend trying to stun her at the last possible moment, because too much can go wrong and she can fake the manifest much like a wraith. What I would recommend is staying safe. Drop the palette such that it separates the two of you. She may be immune to the stun, but at the very least she's the furthest away from you that she can be, on the other side of a loop. You can have the drop palette to play around with if you're a juicer, or you can run if she begins to break it. If she's hyper-fixated on this maneuver of just being demanifested under a palette, just take her on a map-wide journey to all the palettes and pray that your team finishes their gens, because at the very least, she's not cursing the team. Also with the palette breaks, it does reset her bloodlust and gives you some distance to run like normal. So we could consider that all a misplay from the Onryo. So just take it and smile. For players who are more familiar with 1v1 in Dead by Daylight, if an Onryo is chasing you, she's one of the few killers who can gain bloodlust while swapping between manifested and demanifested, which is her M2. So don't relax if you see her blinking, because she is getting her bloodlust up in chase, despite the fact that she's touching her power button. But she is moving at 4 meters per second when swapping modes, so you have an extra few inches of space to play with. To summarize her chase power, other than these things that I mentioned, she's a short M1 killer without much more to her name, so a protracted chase is bad for her. If you like 1v1, think of her like Trapper or Oni. There's no extra speed, there's no projectiles, and there's the barest sliver of invisibility. She's very, very loopable. Condemned. Now for the main event.
Shut up, trickster!
Onryo's claim to fame is stacks of Condemned. We're now leaving the chase portion of the guide and entering the Condemned portion. If she inflicts 7 stacks of curse upon you, you get your killer instinct revealed to her, and the next time you go into the dying state with those stacks, she can instantly kill you. No matter what the hook state is. This puts her in a category similar to Pig, but only in the sense that she must get you into the flat, dying state to make her power go off. She has poor chase abilities, similar to Pig. The Pig party hats might kill you once you get one, but being fully condemned while being horizontal will kill you. You're hopefully anxious about the possibility of instant death from Condemned, so let's explain how she inflicts it now. While demanifested, she can teleport to a TV and crawl out of it. Hey, that's the thing from the movie! Yep. And like the movie, if she's crawling out of the TV, you're in deep shit! Doesn't she, crawl out of the TV, a lot in Dead by Daylight? Yes. Crawling out of the TV is called projecting. Get it? Because, TVs are little modern projectors? Okay. When she projects, everyone within 16 meters of the TV gets a stack of Condemned. TVs can be on or off, and when Onryo projects to one TV, she actually spreads stacks of Condemned to all the other TVs too. Where are the TVs? Well, there's one spawning nearby every generator on the map, so that's 7. What this means to you is that every TV around every generator is going to spew nuclear radiation around it as soon as those TVs power up. Each time Onryo projects out of a TV in this way, she turns off the TV. Functionally, the areas where she's spreading Condemned get smaller each time she uses her TVs in quick succession. She's in this balancing act of a macro game where she wants to project to every TV, but she knows that it's going to hit less people with Condemned every time. And it might leave her without a way to traverse to the spots that she'd like to end up in. It takes around 5 seconds to crawl out of the TV and prepare to project to the next TV. So sitting near a TV that she leaves till last might seem like this. When you finally let her curse you all the way up to 7 stacks of Condemned, the ring meter around your player icon turns red. At this time, Onryo also gets a huge Killer Instinct notification. Combined with a quick teleport, she'll pretty much have your location triangulated as soon as this happens. So what can you do to avoid this? Well, it's quite simple. In the movie, you only have one curse which kills you in 7 days. But the curse is broken if you showed the tape to another person, condemning them and saving you. As a Dead by Daylight analog to this idea, if you're looking to reduce your curse stacks, you can go to a TV which is powered and pull a VHS tape from the VCR. Now you're holding a tape in your inventory. And like the movie, possessing a copy of the tape is the key to removing the curse. You will still hold any items when you grab the tape, but please note, this does absolutely prevent you from using that item. Your hands are full with the tape. What are the other negative effects of holding a tape? Absolutely nothing else. I repeat, for those of you who don't keep up with patch notes, the tapes don't hurt you. This is step 1 of your purification process. Step 2 is quite simply, you now have to carry this tape to the furthest TV and interact with it to jam your tape into the VCR of that TV. Assuming you keep relatively stealthy and understanding Onryo can only directly mess with one survivor at a time, you have a good chance of getting this side project done without any issues. Now, some numbers, and the numbers that I'm going to talk to you about now are going to inform your entire strategy to looping, surviving, escaping Onryo as a whole. When Onryo projects to a TV, it gets deactivated for 45 seconds. She takes around 5 seconds to project and then transform back into the Demanifested state to project again. So she can cycle through all of them in about 35 seconds. When the survivor turns off a TV by ripping a tape out of it, that TV is turned off for 70 seconds. This is, and I'm checking the math here, longer. What you should all be doing as individual survivors is grabbing your first tape early to turn off the TV. Now that we understand that this TV is one of the keys to cursing you to death, turning it off prevents it from suddenly appearing next to your generator and or you, prevents it from condemning when projecting within 16 meters of you, and prevents her from condemning you when projecting to the other TVs. Because now we also understand that any active TV will be able to cause all the other TVs to spew out condemned, no matter what TV she's projecting to, as long as it's on. They all flare up to curse you. It also protects the nearby survivors that don't read the patch notes or haven't watched this guide from that condemned too. Think of turning the TV near you off, like putting up an umbrella of protection for yourself and the others around you. This is now a safe zone. The other last weird thing about Onryo's projection is that she sprints out of it at a high speed for a brief period. So even if you think you're making a calculated decision to eat some curse and make some distance when you see her crawl out of it, you're not going to make the distance you hoped, because she moves faster than a legion looking for their 5th stab. So we have an understanding of what Onryo's chase is like, how she curses us, how she gets around the map in a short amount of time, how to prevent a condemned, and how to remove it before it gets bad. Now, using this knowledge, we can boil it down into some simple steps to beat Onryo at Dead by Daylight. Firstly, step 1 is juicing her in chase. She can leverage her phasing in an attempt to surprise you, and she's immune to stuns when she's demanifested. So keep your eyes peeled to drop a pallet early to stop it from basic attacking you. At the start of a match, all the TVs are off for 30 seconds. Use this time to find a generator and work it. At the end of the first 30 seconds, all the TVs turn on at once. As soon as possible, and when I say as soon as possible, I am talking stopping your gen work actively to camp an unpowered TV, waiting for the interaction prompt. Grab a tape and deactivate it for a longer time, protecting everyone near here and getting step 1 of your inevitable tape journey done. Work your generators fast, shocking no one. Don't let Onryo find you with too much condemned. That's step 4. In my opinion, too much condemned is like 3 stacks. Things will come up, you'll leave it to the last moment like a homework assignment. While you're getting chased by her, you may think she's not going to condemn you while in chase, but she can teleport to a TV while she's chasing you and cut you off. You can gain stacks like that too. Just get rid of them early before things get dire. Step 5. Go on that tape journey to remove your stacks. Many survivors forget that grabbing the tape isn't as important as delivering the tape successfully. As a bonus, if your assigned deposit TV is on, it also gets turned off for the 70 seconds because you interacted with it. Rather than this being a life or death scenario, this hopefully will be nothing but a slow down side project for you. If for some reason you're getting a lot of curse, stay calm. And remember, she has to get you into the dying state for any instant killing value. Loop as best as you can. She might be trying to kill you while cheating the hook system, but you can make her want to rip her hair out by being a loopy little shit. Lastly, Onryo's largest difficulty to face as a team of survivors is that the average player is likely going to be a solo queue survivor, and you cannot guarantee as a solo queue survivor that everyone else is focusing on being proactive with the TVs, which is what really makes this an easy process, when everyone is doing a little bit of work to protect themselves and reduce the TV presence. If you're a solo queue survivor, I'd suggest this. Find another survivor and hang around in a pair for as much as the game as you can. You can take the initiative on grabbing the tape and keeping the TV off, and you've now secured the safety of half the team, yourself and your buddy. Both of you are no longer in range of an on TV. This entire process, in the ideal situation, is that all 4 survivors are going to be working towards keeping the TVs off, and giving Onryo a lack of good teleporting options, and no condemned progress, and bad starts to her chases. This is kind of the same philosophy as keeping Nemesis in Tier 1, or following a trapper to disable each trap that they lay down. We are stifling their power as a group effort, and leaving the killer with nothing in return, and wasting very little of our own time. Evil tricks. These are some of the things Onryo will try to do to you in a match. Hit you once and leave. Or hit and run. Staying injured while she can use the projection to sprint to close the gap on you at short notice is very dangerous, so hit and run forces you to heal, or risk going down without a good chase at all. Reset when safe, keep any TVs near you off when you're resetting, and your healing perks are very important now. Another trick, using up all the TVs. When she turns it off from projecting, you also cannot rip out a tape for reducing your curse. This is why grabbing a tape is so important right at the start, because she wants to reduce your cleansing options. So, make sure that you use those active TVs to get you a tape. Think of them like singularity EMP printers. If it's on, smack the side until it's fixed, or grab the thing out of it. 3. Hooking you with your tape. When you get hooked while holding a tape, that tape breaks, thus interrupting your cleansing process that you hopefully wanted to get done. This is why I suggested staying stealthy while you're on your tape journey. Number 4. Locking in your current condemn levels. When she hooks you with any curse stacks upon you, the hook locks in up to 3 stacks of condemned. They will never go below the number you locked in when hooked for the rest of this match. Try to stay stealthy when building up the stacks of curse, or you'll make yourself an easier insta-kill target in the late game. Number 5, camping your hook with a TV. Hooking a survivor near an active TV is very valuable to Onryo. When the unhooking loud notification procs, evil Onryos will project to that hook that hits both of you for a guaranteed condemned because you're animation locked, and opening up the unhooked survivor for tunneling. Because of this, if there's an active TV near a hooked friend, always turn off that TV before you help them. Think of this like flying on a plane and the oxygen masks drop. Secure your own safety before you assist the helpless babies. You might be thinking to yourself, can I turn off a TV when I've already got a tape? If you were thinking this as I was explaining this, you get a gold star for listening and being smart, and what a great question it is, and the answer is yes. Just because you've got a tape in your hands and it's destined for a different VCR doesn't mean you can't turn off TVs. In fact, you get a special interaction in which you can simply flip the switch on a TV, and it turns off for 70 seconds. This interaction costs you 1 stack of condemned, which sounds bad at first, but when we're talking about preventing multiple stacks on you and others, stopping her from jumping the whole map to get to multiple vulnerable people, and protecting the most obvious tunnel target, this small self-sacrifice goes a long way to foiling Onryo overall. And since turning off one TV on your way to your deposit TV still turns it off for the whole 70 seconds, consider tanking just a single stack during your tape journey or more, as it's going to be removed very shortly. Alright, Onryo add-ons to be scared of. In this short section, short in a WarCorrespondent kind of way, I'm going to cover the most spicy add-on she has, and these aren't necessarily the strongest, but what they all do is guarantee that you need to make a gameplay adjustment, so these are the ones to be really worried about. Reiko's Watch. This one makes her Demanifested blinks longer. This is the most invisible she can get during a chase, but it's only while she's in a state when she can't attack you. And she has to charge her power to hit you. If you get caught off guard by this, just quickly get to that pallet or window that you're looping around and use it before she can slap you. The TV Aura add-ons. There are 2 add-ons which actually emit a blindness or oblivious effect around the active TVs. We're not worried about that since we know that turning them off is the play, but keep it in mind if you rely on auras like windows of opportunity. The cure is very simple. It only works if the TV is active, so flip it off like we're already planning to do in this guide that we're listening to, yeah? We're already planning to turn off the TVs, don't worry about it. Yoichi's Fishing Net. This one blinds you when you're on your 4th stack and condemned. blindness can suck, but you can still see your deposit TV if needed, so it's not a big deal for you. Like the rest of this guide, reducing your condemned is the cure. Ring drawing, this is the big daddy of add-ons. When you get hooked while holding a tape, it now condemns every other survivor. Because we're trying to not be found with a tape, because it interrupts our cleansing attempt, this hopefully won't occur. But if you ever see this happen during a hook action, you need to account for this extra potential condemned source if others are being hooked with their tapes. This is another reason why I don't recommend playing it close to your chest with the condemned levels. So in a perfect world, this should never result in your 7th stack and thus spelling your doom. Bloody fingernails. This is arguably the scariest add-on, as it potentially rewrites Onryo's entire game plan. Her projecting sprinting time is increased. She will get serious distance out of TV at a very high speed, so it's vital to keep them turned off, and she can cut you off mid-chase if you're running into a TV unknowingly. She could combine this with Mangled and Hemorrhage and even Coup de Grace for even more lunging distance with the projection. For the ultimate hit-and-run strat, if a TV is powered near you, it's now your health states which aren't safe along with your curse that you have to worry about. Tape Editing Deck. This add-on starts you with a tape. You can use it for reducing your condemned, and you can still turn off TVs, but there's 2 things to consider. This add-on gives her more aura reading whenever you deposit any tape, so be wary. If you want to turn off a TV next to your gen, you're allowed to, but you'll use the TV switch off interaction, and this costs you 1 condemned. Remote Control. Her most powerful add-on. Everyone within 12 meters of an active TV gets their aura revealed on a projection. And clap along if you know the tune. Turn off TVs to save power from killing you. My vision is for DVD players to have the resources they need to be enabled and be the best that they can. I hope this helps you in your games. Thanks for watching.